Could you draw these shapes? Well, then you could be an artist. There's a method to learn to draw that works for any representational drawing. It's called shape-based drawing method. And it starts with the question, what's the largest shape you see? Square, triangle, oval, circle. In the case of this bird, I see sort of an oval at an angle. So I ask myself, where should I place it on the paper? And I draw it very lightly, like this. Then I ask myself this question, what changes do I want to make to this oval before I proceed? And as I look at the oval there, it seems like the angle is a little off and it could be a little bit narrower. That looks pretty wide for that oval. And once I'm happy with it and I have made all the changes I'm going to, then we move on to the next question, which is, what's the next largest shape? In this case, it appears to be the bird's head, which to me looks sort of like an oval or maybe a circle. So I place it lightly on the page and I ask myself, what changes do I want to make? Well, that bird's head seems a little large, so maybe I'll redraw it a little bit smaller. And then the whole process repeats again. What's the next largest shape? As I look at the tail of this bird, it looks kind of like a rectangle for me. So I place it lightly and I ask myself, what changes do I want to make? And I go, well, I think the bird's tail is up a little too high. I think it's down lower on the oval, so I move it. So what's great about this approach is it works well for drawing birds, for people, for buildings, for objects, almost anything. And it involves this cycle of questions. Largest shape, draw it. Any changes, next largest shape, draw it. Any changes, over and over again. So let's practice it. How would you go about drawing this cat, for example? Are you asking yourself this question? What's the largest shape we see here? To me, I see a rectangle as the largest shape. So I'm going to draw one lightly. And I look at it and I go, I think I should make some adjustments. I think the width is pretty good, but I think that the cat is taller than that. So I'm going to make a taller rectangle. Okay, that's definitely taller, but I think I forgot about the width. I need to make it wider as well. And once I have it about right, now I ask that important next question, right? What's the next largest shape, right? Now, to me, I think the next largest shape in this cat drawing is probably the head, which looks a little like an oval, maybe almost a circle to me. So I'll put it down nice and lightly. And I ask myself, are there any changes I need to make? Yeah, I think I'm getting used to this process, right? That my first shapes are often wrong. They're pretty much always off. They're always wrong. So that oval needs to be a bit wider, so I make it wider and I go, it's wider, but I forgot to make it taller as well. So I adjust it again and eventually I get to something where I go, you know what, I can live with that. That rectangle and that circle, they look about right. You know the cycle, right? What's the next question? What's the next largest shape? And we just keep repeating this. So to me, the next largest shape looks like maybe the top of the cat, which is sort of like the top of a circle cut off. And we just repeat this very lightly over and over again. And artists are often asked, why are they drawing so lightly in the beginning? And I bet you see the reason now, don't you? They know their first lines will always be wrong. It doesn't surprise them. They're testing these shapes and sizes and positions out. If we look at any of the most famous artists from history, like Michelangelo, we see their first lines are always very light, and they change them over the course of the drawing. Michelangelo and here Leonardo da Vinci are considered some of the finest draftsmen who ever lived. So if they're drawing lightly and they're adjusting their lines, then I think we shouldn't expect our shapes and sizes and positions to be perfect on the first try. We have permission to adjust them as well. Here's an interesting situation. Two artists want to draw this cat. The first one says, I think a triangle is the largest shape. The other artist says, I think this oval is the largest shape. Who's right? Well, in the end, does it really matter? Either shape is there, and either shape is a great starting place for this cat drawing. As you start to look at the world, I bet you'll start to see shapes now as well. Thanks to our friend and partner, Brent Eviston, for sharing his approach to drawing with us. You can learn drawing from him at evolveyourart.com. I'm here with teaching artist Haley Davis, and she's going to show us her approach to drawing using a very similar method.